we will continue. Okay. Now, we are still in the second unit, so let us uh, complete the remaining topics here. Today we will take up the arrays part. That is one of the ways of storing multiple objects or multiple elements as a collection. Uh, as with the case of the other programming languages, the arrays in JavaScript are also same. That is, we can store that is we can we can store a collection and access that collection using a single variable. So the very first thing, obviously here we use var to create different variables. So even here, to declare an array, we have to use var, and then let us declare an array of students. So we will use student as the name of the array, and then we can use new and array as the keyword. Actually, it's not the keyword here, array. Array is actually the way, or it's an object, built-in object in JavaScript with its constructor. So using this opening and closing parenthesis, we are calling a default constructor and creating an array. So a student's array will be created. So this is one way we can create arrays. Now here we have not specified what is the length of the array or how many number of elements can be there in an array. So this is an array, it's an empty array. Actually, we have created an empty array, and later we will be able to add elements into the array. Another way of creating the array is to use, let's take the same example of student. We can use new array, and then within parentheses, we can pass some value. So this will create an array of 5 elements. It will create an array of 5 elements. So in the earlier statement, we have not provided the length of the array. So an empty array has been created, and later we can add elements. Here we have the second way, or in the second statement, we have created an array with 5 elements. Now here also, we have not provided what the elements are. We have just allocated some 5 elements to the array, and those will be empty, obviously. And later we can add those elements. Then, so remember, it's not necessary to set the length. Here we have set 5 as the length, but it is not necessary to set the length. And during the execution of the JavaScript or during your program, we can add values in the array. Then the third way is to create an array. Let's say student itself, as well as use the new as the keyword here with the array, and within parentheses we can directly provide the values. For example, if I give, let's say 10 comma 20, or let's say, to be more specific, because if I say 10, you may have confusion that these are 5 elements, this is 10. So within double quotes, let us provide AAA as one value, second value as BBB, and let's say third value as CCC. So this way, this is the third way of creating an array, where an array with 3 elements has been created, and we have assigned the elements also as AA, BB, and CC. AAAs, BBB, and CCC are the 3 elements of the array. So these are the 3 ways we can create an array. Now remember, in most of the high-level programming languages like your C and C++, arrays stores elements of the same type. But in JavaScript, arrays allows us to have different elements of different data types. For example, I can create where, let's say, A as an array equal to new, and let us say array, and within parenthesis as a constructor, I will pass AAA, comma, I'll pass 101, comma, I'll pass something 78.25. So this way we can create another array. I mean, this is the third, we can create an array, and array can have values, elements of different type. So here you can find that this is a string, and this is the number, that is the integer, and this is the floating point, that is the number with a decimal character. So remember, arrays in JavaScript can hold elements of different type. So this is the three way of creating an array using array as the constructor. I mean, four ways of creating array using array. Actually, not four, three itself, because the fourth one, what we have seen, is just to demonstrate that arrays can have different values of or elements of different type. So these are the three ways of creating an arrays using a constructor. We can also create arrays using the array literal itself. For example, we can say var, let's use student equal to, I can just open and close the square brackets. So this creating array with this statement and creating an array with the array as the constructor is same. So if I just use var and student, the name of the array as student equal to, and within, just open and close the square bracket, that means an array will be created, an empty array will be created. So this is same as using array constructor. Then using literal, we can also assign the elements of the array at the time of creation. So we can use, when we are saying literal, it means this we are using square brackets. We need to use square brackets. And when we create, when array is used, it's the constructor. We call the constructor. So here we can have the same. For example, I'll just copy here and paste it over. So here, this statement has created an array with 3 objects. So this is another way of creating arrays. Then you can also have, for example, as we talked, that arrays can have different elements of different type. So we over here also we can have this way array with 3. This is student as an array being created with 3 different elements of different type. So this is different ways of creating arrays. Then what we need to do is there are several properties. Properties in the sense, there are several properties in the sense that the methods which we can use. Properties like length, and there are several other methods we can use. Now, before we move on to those things, let us talk about how to access. So this was creating arrays. So this was about creating arrays. Now, let's talk about accessing arrays. Now, as in other programming language, accessing array is the same. We use square brackets to access the array and pass the index. Now here, remember that the index of the array starts from 0. I mean, some places it starts from, some programming language starts from 1, but remember, like your C, C++, Java, the index of the array in JavaScript also starts from 0. So if I want to access this element, is 101. So I can use student and pass 1. So that's the second element. So this will give me 101 as the result. Now, and suppose if I have to access this element, then obviously I can use student of 0. It gives me this part. That is the first element. So accessing is using the square brackets. Then we have a length property. So with respect to property, if I say student dot length, if I use length, just length, there's no opening closing bracket, just length. Now here I'll give the get the result as 3 because there are 3 elements. That is the length, size of the array. That is number of elements in the array. Now apart from that, I can also have a method. Let's talk about methods now. Methods now. With respect to, so that length is one of the property, and let us talk about methods. Now with respect to methods, we have method as concat. Now this concat method is obviously used to concat two two different arrays. So what we can do is, let me just copy these two things, and let's say I have these two as the arrays. So let me say this one as S1 and this as S2, and let me say this as XXX and this as YYY to have clarity. And then suppose if I say S1 dot concat and pass S2. So what I'll get the result as, I'll get the result as this complete array along with the members of the second array, that is S2. So this will be my result with array of 5 elements. This is how concatenation is done. So remember that I am using S1 dot concat S2. So all the elements of S2 are getting appended to S1. Then we have another method as push. So push is just like how we, store the elements in a stack. So if I if I say S1 dot push and pass this string as let me say ZZZ. So I'll get the result as this whole thing of S1, that is all 3 elements, and then ZZZ will be appended at the end. So this is how push will work. Then the next thing is I can create another, we can use reverse as a method, which will completely reverse the order of the items in an array. So let's say S1 dot reverse. Now if I call reverse method, what I'm going to get is I'm going to get the result in a reverse order this way. That is, the last element become first element will become the last element. Then we can also use sort as the method. That is S1 dot sort means S1 dot sort means it's going to sort the number of the elements in ascending order. Now here, obviously, when I'm using, because as the character or array of strings, AA, BB, and CC are obviously in sorted order. Now, if it is a numerical array, it will sort in a normal order. If it's a dictionary, if it's a non-numerical array, that is, we have strings there, then it will sort in a dictionary fashion. Then what about, suppose if there are objects of different type in the array, for example, this way, if this is the array of different type, then how will it sort? It will convert all the numericals into string value and sort it according to dictionary order. So that is how sorting will work. Then we have a shift method, like shift, that is S1 dot. If we perform shift operation, this will remove the first item from the array and return the value. So this shift, what happens is, will give us first item, that is AAA, and then after that S1 will be having only two elements, that is BB and CCC. So these are some of the methods that we have. And then coming to substring, are like I mean trying to, for retrieving a part of the elements, we can use slice method. Now this slice method, we have to specify the start and the stop index. Start and the stop index. It takes two parameters, start and the stop index. Now here, remember, there is little, I mean, an ambiguity. We can't say ambiguity, but there is a little the way start and stop works. So let us use S dot. Let's say what is that slide? Now what I'll do is, let us have a bigger array. So I'll have var S1 equal to. We will also have some thing like x, and y. So let's say we have 5 elements. Now if I say 1 comma, let's say 3. So what happens is, here what I will get is, I will get a sub array from starting index 1. So this is the element at index 0. This is the element at index 1. So from this element BBB till the stop index. So where is the stop index? This index is 0. This is 1. This is 2. But we provided stop index as 3. So start index is the one from where it starts. That is your BBB. But stop index is an index before the element. Till that it will slice. So the result what we are going to have is, start index is B, third index is XXX. So before the last index it will slice. So this is the result we are going to get. So that is what I said. The stop index is not the direct index. So this is 0, then 1, 2, and then 3. So actually, if we look at it, it would be this substring, but it is not. The last index is not included. It will be till the slicing will happen till the last but one index. So it will return the elements. If I pass 3, it will return the elements starting from first index, starting from the start index to the last index minus 1, including the first and the last index minus 1. So that is why we get the result as BBB and CCC. So this is where you have to remember that the last or the stop index is not the last index which gets included, but it will slicing will happen the last but one index. So these were the some of the methods of using arrays, and most of the how arrays are created and how we can use the arrays. I mean, various methods and arrays to work with. as well as we have seen how to create arrays using constructor. So here we have looked at the arrays and its creation using constructor. Now let us come to pattern matching. Now I'll just save this and let me give this as the name arrays. It's JavaScript arrays. Let me create another text file. And now let us look at pattern matching. Now, before we move on to look at the pattern matching, we need to talk about the, just a second, we need to talk about strings. Okay. Let me go back. Where was I? Yeah, arrays. Now, I just remember this now. The other methods what we have is the index of and last index of. Index of and last index of. Now remember here index of O is capital and of index of, and last index of is I is also capital as well as O is capital. Now these two methods, index of and last index of, is nothing but we have to provide the character there. Sorry, not the character, the element there. For example, if I provide for that same S1, if I provide the CCC, let's say for this array S1, if I provide CCC, I'll be getting the result as the index of where that C belongs. So C array starts with the 0 index, 0, 1, and then CCC will be second. So we will have 2. I mean, we'll get the result as 2. Then last index of is the searching actually happens from in the reverse order. That is from the end. So if I say that let me have BBB, and then over here also I'll have, instead of XX, I will have BBB. And if I am using index of for this BBB as the element, I'll get the value as 1 because it's at the second first index. The 0th index we have AA, first index we have BBB. Now here there are two elements of the same value, that is BBB, and we have repeated that BBB. So the index of returns as the first occurrence. But here, if we use last index of, the searching starts from the end towards the start, that is in the reverse order. So this is the element we have, it's not matched, then we find this element. So the occurrence is retrieved from the reverse end or in the reverse way. But we don't return if this is this index is 0, or we don't return index 1. We return the original index. So last index of method searches for the, suppose if we provide the object as BBB, or the element as BBB, it searches in the reverse order, that is from starting from end moving to the front of the array, but the index which is returned will be in original order. So we will not have value as this is 0 and this one as 1. The index of BBB is, this is 0, 1, 2, and here we have 3. So index returned will be 3. So last index of will return us the occurrence, the last occurrence, index of the last occurrence of the element which we are trying to search. So these are the, two different things. And then we can also have nested arrays, as well as we can access the elements of the nested array using the same square brackets. So for example, if we have this, let's say, nested arrays. So in nested arrays, let us say var, let's say, let me call it as s1 equal to, we use new array, and then we open and close the brackets for creating the array. So now what I will do is, nested arrays means like a two-dimensional array, like your matrix. So what I will do is, instead of closing it here, I'll just open this bracket. I'm providing tabs to have indentation so that it will be easy for us to understand. So we can create now a new row. That is, if I say new array, and then let me call this as a student something AAA, and his roll number as 101, comma, then marks as 78.25. So then afterwards, outside the brackets, I'll have in another comma. Then we will have second row, third row. So this way, what is happening is S1 is a two-dimensional array, or it's like a nested array, where this is the first row, and this is the first element of the first row, second element of the first row, and third element of the first row. Let us call the second student as BBB and third as XXX. And let's say we have 102 and 103. And let us have this 68 and this is 50. So this is how we can create the nested arrays. But how do we access the elements of the nested array? We can access the elements. I can use S1. Suppose if I have to access this element, 103. So this is at third row. So I can access using I, comma, j. So if I have to access this element, I have to use S1 of, again, array starts from 0th index. So I have to use, this is the first 0th index, second, 0th index, first index, and second index. So I'll use, I'll use 2. Then it has to be the index of the column or the index of the element in that array. So it will have, this is 0th and this is 1. So I can have 2 of S1 of 2 of 1. So second row and first, it will be third row and second element. So this will give me the value as 103. So this is how we can access or create the nested arrays. We can also use for loop to access the arrays. For example, we can have for I equal to 0, I less than, sorry, let me keep this as it is. We can use for I equal to 0, I less than how much? S1 dot, this is rows. So this is first element, second element, and third element for this array S1. So I'll have S1. We have seen length as the property, length, I plus plus. All these, the for loop works because it's same as what we have in Java. Increment operator is also present in JavaScript. So this is a for loop to access the rows. Then we will have another for loop, that is the nested for loop, j equal to 0, semicolon. Now what should we, what is the length? J should be less than the length of this row or length of this row or length of this row. Now here you know that it is 3, so I can just say 3. But suppose if I have different number of elements, now this may not have any marks. The second student may not have any marks. Then what? I cannot use 3, because if I use 3, I'll get an error because its object is not available here. It has the row is only 2 elements, whereas the other rows are 3 elements. So what we will do is we will use S1 of I. That is what is the row we get. So as we used S1 dot length, we will use S1 of I dot length and then J plus plus. So this gives us length of each row. So first time when I is 0, it will be the length of this row. Second time when I is 1, it will be the length of this row. Third time when I is 2, this S1 of I of length will be the length of the third row or the ith row. And then inside that I have, as I said, we can use this way. Instead of 2 comma, I can use I and J to access every element. Now here I can use right line method or whatever manipulation we want, we can do it. So this is how nested arrays or arrays of different dimensions can be created and accessed also. So this was all about the arrays. Now we will move on to the strings part. Now in the string, pattern matching. So before we look at pattern matching, we will talk some about strings, or we will discuss about some of the methods that we have in strings, or how to manipulate string object. Now, obviously, string is one of the, it stores a sequence of characters and is one of the most important object of any programming language if you take. So here, before we look at this pattern matching part, we will talk about strings, what strings are. So now here in your syllabus, strings are not mentioned, but you cannot do pattern matching without strings. So even if you get any question with respect to strings, it is assumed that it is within syllabus. Don't think that it's out of syllabus and attempt that question. Don't just leave it. So let us look at strings. Now, as I said, they are sequence of characters. So strings are same as arrays, but they have several other, differences, but are used to store a collection of characters. Now we can create string using var s equal to within double quotes. I can just have the string as ABCD. A string will be created. Like in array, we use the square brackets. The same way here we use double quotes. A string will be created, like creating a string, creating strings using literals. So this is the way of creating string using literals. So a string will be created S and its value will be assigned. We can also create strings using constructors. So I can say var S equal to new, and then I can use string as the constructor. Within this constructor, if I just leave it blank, nothing will happen. A blank string is created. Now I can use or pass a value to the constructor. So if I, within double quotes, if I say ABCD, string S will be created using a constructor with new as the keyword. So these are the two ways of creating strings. Now, there is a slight difference between these two S. Let us call this as S1 and this as S2. Now, S1 is just used as a literal. So it's created using a literal. So S1 is a simple text string. S1 created here is a simple text string. But S2 is created using a constructor. So S2 is a string object. We call this as a string object. Called as a, string object. So there is a slight difference in terms of terminology. But as far as what all methods we can apply, that is same. There is no absolute no difference between the way we use the methods. So just remember that when we are creating strings using literals, it is a regular plain text string. When we are creating, so S1 is a regular string. When we are creating strings with a constructor, we call this as an object, string object. So S2 over here is a string object. So that's only the difference. Now let us come back and just try to have a look. Look at the methods. Now here we have a property as length for same as we have for arrays length. This will give if I say S1, this will give me 4 as the result because there's a 4 characters, so length of the string is 4. Then we have char at, which returns the character at a particular position. We have concat with respect to strings. We have slice also. Sorry, it's a slice method. This is same as what we have seen in for arrays. Then we have substring. Substring. There is a difference between slice and substring over here. Then we have index of, as well as last index of we have. Then there is a method to string, that is we can convert some literal into a string, returns the string value of that. We have two lower case, which converts the complete string into lowercase. We have two uppercase, which convert the entire string into uppercase characters. Then we have trim. This trim will convert, remove any white spaces from the beginning and the end of the string. So these are the methods of string class. Here in this in these methods, let us look at what this character is. Let us look at what each method is. So if I say character at, let's say character at what we 2. So if I say just character at 2, I'll get the result as this is 0, 1, and 2. I'll get the result as 3. If I say I need another string, so let me use S1 and let's say S2. Let me have S2 as XYZ. Okay, just before we look at the methods, I told you this is the S1 is created as a string, a normal text string, and S2 is created as a string object. So we are declaring different. Let me use if statement over here. We'll just look at the difference between what is this why. Though the strings are same, both have ABC created, but one we are calling it as an object because it's created using constructor. The other one we are calling as a simple string because it's created using a literal. So let us look at what is the difference here. So both strings are same. There's absolutely, this value of both strings will be same. But the difference is with respect to programming. So if I say, I am using S1 and S2, two different. So if I say S1 equal to S2, if I use this equal to S2, Is it true or false? If I say alert, if I say alert, let's say equal, else let me say alert, oh, sorry, let me say alert not equal. So obviously everyone knows that this is S1 as ABC and this S2 is XYZ. So obviously I'll get the result as not equal. I'll get an alert as not equal. But suppose if I have, let me have another variable as S3 and A, B, C, D. This is same as S1. Now if I use S3, S1 equal to S3. So here in this case, I'll be getting not equal to as the result. S1 equal to S3. What is the result I'll get? Will I get not equal to or equal to? Everybody knows these two are same. ABC, ABCD, ABCD. So obviously I'll be getting it's equal. I'll be getting it's equal. Now, suppose the same thing I do it. Let me say copy this one. I'll have it here. Let's call this as three things. Let's say S1, S2, and S3. And this, let me have it as X, Y, Z. Now, again, we will use same statements, if statement. Let's just try to just copy and paste it. Now, in this first case, I say S1 equal to S2. So S1 is a string ABCD. It's an object. S1 is object, string object ABCD. S2 is a string object XYZ. Obviously, the both are not equal. So I'll be getting not equal. Then when we have S1 equal to S2, what do you think will be the result? Now remember that this is not a simple string that we can just match it together. S1 and S2 are not simple strings. They are two different objects. So when an object is created in the memory, when the object is created in the memory, they will be having different references or the address. So when we say S1 equal to S2, even though these will have the same values, but since they are two different objects, we will not get the result as equal to, we will get the result as not equal to. Since they are two different objects, we will get the result as not equal to. So programmatically, this is the difference between using literals as a string and string object. Though all the methods, whatever we talked here, is going to give you the same result. Absolutely, there is no difference, but programmatically, that when objects are used, they will be two different objects. Now, let us come back to this place, and if I say concat S1 dot concat and pass S2, we will have all the elements of S1 concatenated with S2. So I will have the result as the result of this will be with X, Y, Z. And slice operator is there. If I pass 1 comma, let's say 3, so I will get the result as this is the original. So if I say S1 dot slice 1 comma 3, so A will go, that is 0, starting from B 0, sorry, we have 1, 2, and 3. So A and B will go, B and C will remain there because B is starting index 1. This is 2 and this is 3. So last but 1. So we have this as the result. Then we also have a substring part. This substring, what we say here, is returns, I mean, works the same, will return the portion of a string uh, same as your slice operator. Uh, so, I mean, there is another method actually, substr, substring. Now we have to practically look at these three things. So, I mean, that I will take up in the next class. So let us move with the other method. I mean, I cannot theoretically explain you because theoretically all three are same. Returns gives you a part of the string, a portion of the string. But practically, I mean, I'll show you practically how we have to use indexes and work with these three things. So that we'll cover up in the next class. Now, index of again is the same thing. It will return us the index of if I say s1 dot. Let's say index of let's say 3 c, sorry, not 3 c. I'll get the result as 0 1 2 as the result. Last index of also works the same way. Now suppose if I have the string as let's say there is this string. Suppose if we have a string as a b c b b d. The last index of if I call b, I mean try to access b, I'll get the result as here if I say uh, index of b, I'll get 1 as the result. Now here I'll get 0, 1, 2, and 3 as the result because b is occurring, the last occurrence of b at index 3. Then this 2 string is nothing but, suppose if I have, not this way. Suppose if I have some number as 100, as a 100, this is S1, let's call it as I1. And if I say I1 dot to string, I'll get 100 itself, but as a string. The next thing is 2 lowercase means suppose if I have the same ABCD as the array AB, let's say ABCD, 2 lowercase. If I have A, capital C, I'll get the result as all the characters will be in lowercase. If I have uppercase, 2 uppercase, if we say 2 uppercase, I'll get the result as all in uppercase. All characters of the string will be converted into uppercase. Then finally, we have this trim as the method. Now, suppose if I have, let's say, A, B, C space X, Y, Z. Now, trim removes the occurrence of white spaces, I mean, before and after. So, it doesn't remove the white spaces, I mean, in between the string. For example, if I am having ABC, there is a white space here. It doesn't remove this white space. But if I have even double white space over here, it will not remove this double white space. It trims only the space which is at the beginning or at the end of the string. If there is a white space at the beginning or the end. So here we have this as the white space at the beginning of the string. So it will trim only this and the end. So if there is no white space, doesn't matter, but it will not trim this white space. Remember, the white space in between the characters. It trims the white spaces from the beginning and the end of the string. So if I use s1 dot trim, I'll get the result as I'll be getting the result as white spaces trimmed. This will not get affected, and we will have the white space trimmed at the end. So this is how trim function will work. I mean, not function, method. Trim method will work. So these are different methods of the string. though we will look at this methods, these two methods. I mean, the slice, substring, and practically we will look at those methods. So, having seen the strings, now we can move on further with the regular expressions, or what we call it as pattern matching. And this is one of the important topic because you will be needing it in your, I mean, in different projects or applications you try to develop, you will be needing this regular expression pattern matching to perform validations. So this way, uh, we have to know the detail about strings. Now, I think it's time for now. So we will take up the rest of the methods as well as the regular expressions in the next session, next class. Okay, just before we close this, let me just rename as JavaScript. And what was this? Strings. Let me rename it as strings. So this way we will, I mean, in the next class, we will continue with the strings and then look at pattern matching. So if you have any doubts or questions, then I mean, I can answer it. Else we can, I mean, we can close the session. So if there are any doubts, just ask me. Or should we close the session? Okay, then let us end this class.